And we're live. Thanks for joining me today. We've been spending some time seeing how we can use shapes to draw any object, and we're going to do more of that. But today I just wanted to mix it up a little and do a lesson on shading. So we're going to start by shading a sphere. So let's begin. All right, so this is just a quick reminder of something we already did before. If I have a circle, we'll draw two circles. And if I cut it in half, that would look fine for a sphere if I'm looking straight on. I could add a little add a little shadow there, and it helps it look more like a sphere. I can also, if I turned the sphere, then it's going to wrap around. So again, we want to think of it as a string that we're wrapping around the sphere. And then let me get rid of something here. One moment. Okay, sorry about that. Let's continue. Okay, so if I drew this, I don't know if you saw that. So let me just go back for a moment and make sure that this made sense. So if I have two circles, and if I put lines straight across, that could work if I was looking straight on. But if I want to have the sphere turn at an angle, then I'm going to wrap the line around it like a rope around a sphere. I could also go this way. And it helps with the dimension. I can wrap a line this way, and I've got a basketball. I could also get rid of this. We could layer it. We're wrapping that string all the way around. And this is actually what we're going to do when it comes to shading. Let's look at wrapping some lines one more time around this one. If I'm looking straight on, that line might be straight and this line might be straight. But as the string wraps around it, it becomes more of a curve. And then it's going to flatten out as it gets closer to the center. The same would happen here. Okay, well, we don't need that. So let's start by drawing a sphere. And we're just going to I'm going to use a lighter just as we get started. I'm going to move here. Okay, so I'm going to draw our circle, and then I'm going to add a cast shadow, make that nice and big so that we can see. And we'll erase this. I drew the shadow there because the light source is coming from that angle there. So now we can we'll use some cross-hatched lines. And cross-hatching comes in very handy if you're using a pen, because if you have a pencil, you can add pressure and change it up. But if you're using a pen, you often can't, you press hard or light, it doesn't matter, you have a solid line. So let me show you what I mean by cross-hatching. I'm going to draw a box here, and we're going to break it up into different sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Uh-oh, I said it. Okay, now, a crosshatch, this is just hatching. If I pick a direction and draw the lines, that's hatching. But if I draw lines and I cross them, now we have cross-hatching. And now 2 just became darker than 1. So I'm going to use some lines going all the way across. And I think I have a pencil setting. If it was ink, it would be a little more consistent, but we're fine. So now I have the same, well, if I cross the other way, now I'm going to have the same level all the way across as 2. So if I want 3 to be darker than 2, then I need to find another direction. So that will go horizontally all the way across. And then if I need 4 to be darker, we'll go vertically and we'll take that all the way down. So we get to 5, we got to get creative. Let's see, we went diagonal. So now I'm going to make some curved lines. And we'll go all the way across. And then 6, we'll cross the other way. And then by the time we get to 7, we can just darken it in. And we see I'm going to throw a few lines in here. We have a nice gradation. We've got a lighter color at 1, and then as it goes further down to 7, it gets pretty dark. So that's what we're going to think about when we shade in this sphere. So what layer was that? Good. Okay. There it is. Okay. So now we're going to think about the fact that the light source is coming right here. And that's going to be the brightest is going to be in this area right here where the light's hitting it. As it moves out from there, it's going to get a little bit darker. And as it continues to work away from the light source, it's going to get darker. Okay, and the same will happen down here for the shadow. It's going to be the most dark by the base of the sphere. So now we're going to add those lines. All right, I'm going to darken this up. And I'm going to outline our sphere. And I think that's fine for now. So actually, we're going to do one more thing. We are going to add some values. So we will say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And actually, I want this last layer to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to call that 3 because these will be about the same value. Because we're going to get some, if this is a table and this is light, there's going to be some reflection from the table onto this last layer. When we shade in the shadow, that's going to be darkest closest to the sphere, and then it will lighten up as it comes away from the sphere. Okay, so now I can start to do some shading, and I'm not going to use straight lines. We're going to curve it around to match the shape of the sphere. And we're just going all the way across. Just like we did with the rectangles earlier. And then for the, I need to fill in some gaps here. And then for the shadow, I'm just going to go straight across. Okay, now we're going to move to the second layer. And I hope you can still see that. Second layer is right here. And now we're crossing. We're going to cross that first layer. And I'm going to do the same thing all the way down. And we'll pick a different direction. We want to start here. We're going to leave one open and come back this way. Okay, so now we're going to go to 3. And we're going to add some more lines. Once again, finding a new direction. Then we're going to start with 3 here and also different direction. Okay, now we move to 4. And we'll come back to 4 here, find another direction. It's getting consistently darker as it gets closer to the sphere. Then we're going to go to 5. and find yet another direction. And this is called the terminator. This is where it's the darkest. And then we're going to color in the 5, almost completely shading that in. And I'm going to turn off those numbers just for a moment. There we go. Let's try that again. So this will be our table area. And the light's coming down from there. And in most cases, we would want to have some kind of highlight right here. So I'm just going to draw that in. There we go. So that's the idea of cross-hatching it, where we're building it up. We started with these layers and we just keep working it so that it gets darker. This is the darkest area, lightens up, and then we're good to go. So I'm going to do that one more time. This will go much quicker, and instead of using the crosshatch method, we will use, let's see, I'm going to get rid of this. Keep this. We're going to draw on this layer. Okay. So this time we're going to use some color, and it doesn't really matter what color we use. We'll just go with that orange. Should be fine. And we're going to make our sphere. Yeah, that'll be fine. We'll color that in. And so now I'm just going to keep going darker. So we shade that in. And then for the table area, we'll just make it a little more gray. Darkest as it gets right up to the sphere. That's called ambient occlusion, which means no light is getting right up under that surface. And I just want to round that out again. And we're pretty much there now. The only thing we would want to add is a highlight. And depending on what the surface is, if it's dull, ooh, didn't want that. Depending on what the surface is, it might just be a very bland sort of highlight. Just doesn't really do much there. If it's something like if that were rock, then it might have a little highlight like that. If it was something polished, then we'd want to go a little more intense. And and we've got that highlight. We can turn those numbers off. That's not it. There we go. And that looks a little more let's try to clean that up a little bit. But that's the main idea. So that's how we would think about shading. We would think about it in layers. I'm going to round out this shadow a little bit. But that's the main idea. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions about things that you are trying to learn to draw, or you have a question about shading or whatever, I am here for you. Just leave me a comment, and that will help me to know what I need to focus on. If you'd like to see some of my artwork, you can go to dango.art, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.